What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this live episode of Capes and Cowls, the big thing. And there are some things to talk about today, man. Aquaman is going to be the majority of the subject. The majority of the subject? Sure. Why not? The majority of the subject. We are going to be talking about Aquaman being pushed to potentially 2024, not only due to the strike, but there's also some reshoots that they talked about and reshoots. People go, there's always reshoots. Relax. It's like there are always reshoots, but there's a lot of reshoots and there's a lot of different things they've done and they've moved things around. So we'll discuss that. We'll talk about that. And then speaking of Aquaman, staying on Aquaman, there's you guys know there was pictures of Ben Affleck and at one point I think Jason Momoa was like, yeah, he's back in it, and then they said, oh no, just kidding, he's not going to be in it. And then all this stuff happened with James Gunn and yada yada. Well, there's a little bit more detail of what that role would have been, so we'll get into that. Sticking with DC, we're also going to talk about Blue Beetle. It's coming up, and without the promotion and everything that we talked about last week that could hurt, right now the movie is tracking at like a $20 million opening weekend. Not the best, and it's worrisome in general. So we'll discuss that. And obviously the Marvels trailer came out also. So that and more on today's Capes and Cowls. And I will be joined by the one and only Winston A. Marshall. Coijandro is taking selfies in Hull H. So we'll talk about that as well. So it is Capes and Cowls, everybody, and it's live. Let's do it. Are you ready? I'm ready. Okay, cool. Well, then let's do it. Welcome back, everybody. Capes and Cowls. Myself and Winston A. Marshall here today, and we're happy that you guys joined us on the show. We decided to do a live episode of the show. There is Winston. What's up, Winston? How are you? You're at
Yep. Hold on. We didn't really have time to do a pre-tech because okay. I came straight out of work. So now y'all get to see what I do when I'm like working from home. I'm pretty much just in my drawers, just doing whatever.
You know? As you should. I don't have pants on.
That's fair.
No, it's good. It's good to have you on the show. And like I said, we were talking about it because we weren't even sure we were going to do a show this week at all. And then with the stuff that was going on with the strike and everything else, and then so we had originally potentially planned on you coming in, but then you obviously weren't able to do that. And I thought about this morning. I said, well, why don't we just try to go live? We did the episode yesterday where we aired one with Roxy. You definitely didn't listen to that episode because I
haven't had a chance yet.
So have you been paying attention to the saga that has been going on with her neighbor?
No.
Right, do yourself a favor. On the Clips channel, we have the Big Thing Clips channel now. There's both parts of that saga happening now, and there's a lot of different theories of what's going on in that apartment, and it's probably not safe for this show to talk about.
All right, I'll check it out, man. That is somebody who I miss dearly. I haven't had a chance to really see Roxy over the last few months.
Sure.
Both what I saw at the live show. But just between like the injury stuff and whatnot, because I can't drive and all that, I just haven't really seen her, man. That's crazy. I will have to check. Yep. Whoa, okay. I see somebody's comment that Roxy's neighbor apparently has been getting it in.
That's not. And this was the nervous thing I had about don't
look at it. I'll turn it off. I'll turn it off.
I don't do live anymore because people are like, why don't you do live? Because it's not just me. It's everybody that I do shows with. That every time it was one of my biggest things on like SEN or whether it was Schmoes. Is like people can't stay away from those things. But
that's because that's the Twitch of me, because I actually Twitch him, so I'm supposed to. So right. I have to turn my brain.
I understand. But what we are going to do is because we want to cover these topics and we don't want to get confused. But what I did say in the chat, like, so for example, Senior Film, thank you so much for putting in that super chat at the moment. We are going to be taking super chats, but if you're going to put them in as we're talking about the topics, because we only have until around 1 p.m. and then we got to go. So I want to make sure that if we got it, everybody's, and at one point I'll tell people to stop submitting them because we won't be able to get to them. if you choose to do that. If not, understood. We're going to get into all the topics for the show, and we're going to start with the one I was talking about. A few of the ones that I brought up to Lee, but let's start with this. Well, not Aquaman, Batman just yet. But I want to start with Aquaman in general. And this is pretty crazy. I mean, I say crazy, but it's also kind of, you understand it. This is from comicbookmovie.com. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and Dune Part 2 may be pushed back to 2024 amid the SAG-AFTRA strike. I'm definitely upset about both of those, and I'll be honest, a little bit more so about Dune, nonetheless. So this is from Mark Cassidy. Following today's report about James Wan's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom undergoing a third round of reshoots, we're hearing that Warner Brothers Discovery may ultimately decide to push the DC Comics sequel back to next year, along with several other upcoming movies. According to Variety, the studio is considering delaying the release of the Aquaman sequel, Dune Part 2, and The Color Purple, all to 2024. Nothing has been confirmed, however, and it's worth noting that said that releases are moving forward as originally planned and no formal discussions have been had, but the duration of the union battles are completely unpredictable. Given the behind-the-scenes turmoil afflicting Aquaman 2, which we'll get into in a little bit, a delay was probably inevitable, but Denis Villeneuve's Dune sequel being pushed back is more surprising and will likely result in a lot more disappointment. These major tentpoles benefit greatly from their story cast, hyping them up, and actors unable to do any promotion due to the strike. WB is understandably apprehensive about releasing them without the maximum amount of fanfare. All right, Winston. So a lot there to discuss. Let's start with the fact that all of the movies, not just Aquaman, being pushed. This is one of those ones where I think that, as they said, nothing has been decided yet, but it's one of those things where you can see them going inside of the meeting room and going, we don't know how long this is going to last. We really don't know how long this. We need the actors to be able to promote this thing, especially a movie like Dune and The Color Purple. We need the actors to be out there promoting it. We should be prepared for a potential delay. Nothing yet, but I think they're waiting to see how long, and if negotiations are just stalled and it looks like it's going to push like further, then I think this is probably going to happen. What do you think? What do you think?
I mean, it's smart business to hold off, because I don't think people realize how much actors doing press genuinely has a massive effect on films. I think, Barbie will track well, Oppenheimer will track well, because you had the Barbenheimer situation,
and they were doing press already,
they did press prior to the strike happening. They cut it off right at the pass, but I think it's one of those things where I'm like, I care about the creatives that actually made it happen, but I don't feel bad for the studios realizing that they have to do this. This is a beast of their own making. Like, you could get your reshoots done and everything else if you would come in good faith back to the table, but they haven't. So I think for the sake of Aquaman 2, knowing that it has been covered in turmoil for a little bit, like there's been a lot of reports back and forth about what was going to happen with this, I think that makes sense. And I honestly, I know it bums you out because I still haven't seen Dune yet, but I know it bums you out about Dune 2 being pushed. But in the same way that it bummed me out about Beyond the Spider-Verse being pushed, I would rather them do that and then the movie turn out how you want it.
Dune's done. Dune's already done. I mean, there's nothing as far as turning out for that movie. That's
just press. Yeah,
it's just press, and they want to maximize it because the first Dune had that double kind of release, on HBO Max plus in screen, and then they almost didn't do that at all, and they almost lost Denis Villeneuve because of it, and there was this big thing that went back and forth. So they want to optimize and have a big theatrical experience for him alone to keep him happy and to keep the audience happy, because that movie, it's the one thing that I definitely wish that I would have seen the first one on the big screen, and I made that choice, but I'm looking forward to it. I just think that it just depends on when you're going to put that out, because I just thought that was a good release date for that movie. But as far as Aquaman goes, this is one that I think Aquaman would have, whether there was a strike or not, I think Aquaman would have been delayed regardless. And it's already been delayed. It was supposed to come out last year. It's already been delayed because of all this is one of those things, and I'm curious how you feel about it. When there's kind of smoke, there's fire. There's been a lot of different reports saying this movie just might not be that good.
Everything that I've heard is that this is New Mutants all over again.
Whoa.
And if that's what we're dealing with here, it bums me out, just because I do love Momoa. But I just haven't heard the best stuff. So it sounds like the reshoots are just and like we're still in this weird void, man. I feel like you just have to let everything DCEU go. I honestly have gotten to that place now that I haven't seen something legit positive come out of it since Peacemaker, if I'm doing my math correct, because obviously we enjoyed The Flash, but that didn't do anything that it was supposed to do. I am still excited about Blue Beetle, but I am nervous without the press. Like, it may be a good movie, but without the press, I am very concerned that it's not going to do very well.
It's tracking not good at all.
Yeah, so I think you're just at that stage where you just gotta, you're not going to at this point. They're both done, but I really feel like you just need to get through your DCEU mess and be done.
I know it's crazy, and they're gonna have to put. I mean, it's the same thing we talked about, though. It's like, well, people go, why don't you just scrap it and don't put them out at all? Well, the problem with that is that there's even if you put even something like The Flash, which cost $200 million to make, it was going to take a loss. If you didn't put it out at all, you would have had even more of a loss. So you at least got some money in the bank. You know, it's like, so that's probably the same thing they're trying to do. But this plays into these reshoots thing. Let's talk about the reshoots, about Aquaman rather, with the reshoots. And let's go back to that. Oh no, sorry, there it is. Okay. So this is an article from superherohype.com. James Gunn ordered Aquaman 2 reshoots after seeing a cut of the movie. A report about Aquaman and Lost Kingdom has revealed that the DC sequel had additional reshoots again this year, approved by DC Studios' James Gunn. How many rounds of Aquaman reshoots have there been is the question, and the answer is the Hollywood Reporter's article states that the Aquaman sequel is coming off of its 3rd round of reshoots, which were approved by Gunn after the director and co-CEO weighed in the most recent cut. The movie was in the middle of post-production and began test screenings that for the 2022 summer, the outlet notes. While a timeline is not clear, from summer 2022 to the beginning of 2023, The Lost Kingdom underwent 2 rounds of reshoots and held several uninspiring test screenings. James Gunn is said to have weighed in the most recent cut, and the leadership approved a 5-day shoot. Sources say that the shoot went so well that James Wan and company completed what they needed in only 4. The official synopsis for Aquaman, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, 3 reshoots, whether it went well or not, that's troubling. Because it's like, okay, let's try to fix it. Let's see what we can do. But that's more money in the hole, man. It's way more money in the hole, especially if you're going to push it. So I don't know. Is this thing doomed?
Did I miss for half a second what the current budget is at, or what they're estimating?
This is without reshoots, I see. But let's see. Aquaman 2 budget is reportedly 205. That's without all the reshoots. So let's say
you're pushing.
Let's say 250. Let's say 250 to be nice. No way this movie does that.
What my concern is you're pushing 3 by the time this is all over, based off of A, you got to do more reshoots. This will be a 3rd time, you said, and B, the report has been coming out from the strike that major productions, especially if they are holding any sort of sound stage space or high brow locations, could be losing upwards of $600,000 a day. So, like, I don't necessarily know if Aquaman is holding that much weight, since you're just talking about reshoot stuff, but Lord knows that they are probably incurring a nice little debt from that. So this might be 300 by the time it's over, and that is the last thing they need, is another 250 to $300 million film.
Yeah, that's when I go back to what someone had just asked beforehand, but why don't they just put it away and not do anything with it? To which our answer was, well, they can't, because they're trying to get some money back. There is a part of me that goes, just put it out as it is and stop spending money on reshoots, because the more money you spend on the reshoots, even if you save it and make a good movie, like, look, we both think that Indiana Jones, the last one, is fine. It's fine.
Fine.
It's not $300 million worth budget at all. And no matter of how fine it is and how, and like I said, for an Indiana Jones movie, I thought compared to the last one, I enjoyed watching it. But that if said to me, well, you get to watch this, but it's $300 million. I said, just don't do it. Just don't do it. And it's the same thing with this. This is a movie that you're spending way too much money on. And we're not in the same level of comic book movie hype that we were when this movie came out. And it made $1 billion. And that, I hope it does the same thing. I hope it surprises everybody and makes about $1 billion. I like Momoa. I like James Wan. And I think that I would like to see them use that money to help the DCU, but things just aren't pointing in that direction.
That's what makes it rough is there are too many open sores to this entire thing, man. And I genuinely think I think anybody that's like really into this world, they're kind of just waiting at this point. I mean, there hopefully is still plenty of hype for Blue Beetle, but most people are just waiting for Superman Legacy at this point. They don't care anymore. And if it's not that, then it's the common man. And we've already seen what happened. Shazam had a lot of goodwill and did nothing. Like it barely broke even itself. So I just don't think that goodwill is there anymore. That general audiences are willing to walk in, especially. I find that obviously the general audiences will be attracted to stuff as is, but they get hyped up by the people that are hyped up about the property.
Of course.
So it's me telling my mom, no, Mom, you would love this. Like it's got that adventure sense that you really like or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
of course,
if we're not hype about it, it's just not going to translate.
No, and I think that's the problem. Is that another thing too? And it might have been comicbookmovie.com, but they said the same thing, and they said that it's just maybe it was a wrong choice for them to announce the new DCU before these movies came out. I understand why they did it, and they did it because they need time to build. They need time to try to get this thing out by 2025. I understand it, but it doesn't change the fact that it might be a problem.
Yeah, you needed to do it also from the standpoint of, again, we're talking about goodwill here, and people were already kind of done.
Yeah,
like people were done with this, the direction that DC was going. So if you don't give them something to be excited about, so it's a weird double-edged sword, and it felt like a risky surgical procedure. Like you're like, oh no, they're bleeding out. Well, I can try this random clamp and maybe it'll work.
Right.
But it's going to run a risk. You're having to make more incisions, and so it may have bought you a little bit of time, but it's not the answer. The only answer they have is they got to make it to Legacy. That's really it at this point.
Truth, and then it leads to the fact that it's got to get pushed anyway. They might use the excuse that it's because of the strike that they pushed it. They're not going to say the other reasons, I don't think. But I think if I'm James Gunn, I'm just like, let's just get this movie out, and let's get every movie that we need to get out so we can clear it up, because it'll give us enough time. Because the problem is, if you put this out in 2024, and let's say it's December again when they do it, that's only a year separation from Superman, or less than a year. If they put it out in summer, it's a year, and it's too infused still. You're like, oh, is that, people who don't know and then aren't following this kind of stuff, is that connected to this? And they're like, no, it's not. But if it's 2 years removed and you're like, okay, it's gone. This is another thing. We can hype this up. So this is probably something that they just want to get out, if it is indeed not that good. But then it lends us to the Blue Beetle of it all, which we will get to. But before we do that, as we're doing this live, like I said, if everybody's able to throw in those super chats while we're doing this, because we only have some time. If you want to, if you don't, totally understood is what we do, and that's what the live stream is for. The other live stream is for anyway. This is more so just in case you wanted to ask questions, because we don't do this live often. But I do want to tell you guys about Green Chef, and I've told you guys about Green Chef. You guys have heard about Green Chef, and I am so glad that Green Chef is back. Now, when my family, Winston, was out of town, I was cooking meals for myself. I told you, I sent you pictures. I was cooking shrimp. I was cooking burgers. I was cooking all this stuff, and it's so amazing, and I love it. And it really kind of helps me out. And the food itself is so good. It's Roxy. When I told Roxy that we had Green Chef, she's like, "I love Green Chef." Green Chef is so amazing, and it's got it literally is the #1 meal kit for eating well, and it's got dinners that work for you. It's not the other way around. Green Chef has options for every lifestyle that fits your style, and it's so amazing. And welcome in the season with delicious, easy to follow recipes that support your healthy lifestyle, and it tastes good too. You can try the balanced, crave-worthy meals, whether it's vegetarian, vegan, yada yada yada. There's so many different options. I love it. I really do use it often. I love the meal. I get so excited. My wife's like, "You got another box here?" I run from whatever I'm doing just to see what I got. It's the seafood. The seafood's really good too. My daughter made something. But anyway, you can make a rice bowl with it, which is really good as well. But if you want to go and get 50% off, you go to greenchef.com/thing50 and use the code thing50 to get 50% off plus free shipping. It is worth it. It is amazing. You will love it. And Winston, some of that stuff that I cooked at the barbecue was
Green Chef. Wow.
I mean, right? Those burgers. How good were those burgers?
Yeah. I mean, those burgers were phenomenal, man. That's I'm here for that, bro. Man, that's the thing. I got to start making more money so I could get back on these boxes, because I was Green Chef is one I've wanted to try.
Yeah,
for sure.
50% off.
Yeah, no, this might be worth just doing at least the one.
I promise you'll love it. And for people out there, and again, but not only, and this is what we've been saying for a bit, and someone said to me the other day, so thank you for letting me know how this works. I wasn't exactly sure. And what we do I got a comment not so long ago. I was talking to Roxy about it, and someone was like, "Hey, we really want you to be like the #1 show that what you guys are doing in this space." And I said, well, if you want to do that and you're able to do that and you're able to support, one of the main ways to support, if you can, is get one of these sponsors, whether it's Green Chef, which we love. We'll talk about AG1, but get one of them, use our code, and when they re-up, it's like there's a thing where they come back, because it's like, yeah, well, we want to sponsor your show, but when you guys get them, that's when they come back, right? Because they're like, oh, people are actually listening.
They're listening to you.
Yeah, they're listening. Exactly. Well, and we're trying to get people to get good stuff, and that's why when I want Green Chef back, I want all these people back, because selfishly I love having their stuff. And then the other thing is I want people to know. So anyway, go and check it out and make sure. And there are people, by the way, that are new to this show and that have not seen this show for the first time and coming over. So instead of writing things like, "Oh, you don't have to explain this all the time," realize that you're not the only person in the world. So all right. let's get
as that, to me, I think truthfully has been at least my motto to try and share with folks since the pandemic. You're not the only person in the world.
You're not the only person.
Remember that.
There's not 6 people that are just watching. We're blessed enough that we've been doing a lot of these out of the theater directions. There's brand new people who have found the show and they're watching this for the first time. So we explain to people in general. So yeah, I do actually have to tell people, because you're not the only person in the world. All right, so let's move and let's stay with DC. And I want to get to this because I don't like reporting on this story, but we have to, because, like I said, I have a personal investment in this, because I'm rooting for Xolo Maridueña. He's the man, and I really hope. I don't want this movie to do well, but right now, the report is that this movie is not tracking well. This is, again, from Comic Book Movie. From Mark Julian, Blue Beetle is certainly fighting an uphill battle as it looks to buck the trend of recent DCEU box office bombs like Black Adam, Shazam 2, and The Flash. It's crazy that Black Adam is the most successful out of the three of those.
Yeah, I'm trying to say.
Right? Warner Brothers may have shot itself in the foot by announcing a new cinematic universe for its DC comic heroes while there were still several DC Comics films to be released. James Gunn's reboot of the DC films were announced on January 31st. He was appointed co-CEO of DC Films along with Peter Safran. The announcement was made in a video posted on Twitter. However, a true talk of a reboot again began August 2022. When Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav revealed his desire to reset the DCU during a quarterly earnings investor call. Since that call, it's been one box office bomb after another. Black Adam, yada, yada, yada. We talked about this. Will Blue Beetle turn out differently? It sure doesn't look that way, as early tracking from Box Office Pro has the film earning 12 to 17 million domestically in its opening weekend, with a total domestic gross. Oh, shoot. I thought this was opening weekend. Total domestic gross of only 27 to 55 million. This is what they're predicting.
Holy God, what was the budget again?
With a reported $120 million budget, Blue Beetle will need to have a strong international box office to avoid similar fate as the previous three. Oh man. Okay, so let's break this down, Winston. Hold on. All right, so the screenings are going to be coming out probably in the next couple of weeks of this movie. The reviews will be coming out in the next couple of weeks for this movie. But as we said last week, the problem is that we saw the SAG strike happened, the writer strike happened. There's no promotion that's going to happen for this movie, and it was already fighting a battle of awareness for a character that's not very well known, a star that's not very well known outside of the Cobra Kai audience. This is a problem. So what do you think? Is this going to be another, like they posed the question, is this going to be another one of those problems where are we looking at the same stuff that just had happened with the previous ones?
So I'm going to be careful about how I tap dance around this, and I'm going to focus mainly on, I think what concerns me the most is what this does to Sholo's career potentially. For this being such a major staple, for him being the lead of this movie and all that kind of stuff, if it doesn't play out the way that it needs to, these are the kind of things that you really have to have the right team around you to help you pivot afterwards, or this could be bad. I am most concerned about him, and especially from the standpoint of, I even saw the video he put out the day the strike started, and just trying to explain, this is all I'm saying about the movie because I can't going forward. And so he spent that time thanking everyone that was a part of the project, thanking all the people that have supported him. And you just have to hope that that's enough. You really have to hope that that's enough for people to see that and want to rally behind him, because I know that even part of the issue that has happened is SAG isn't asking for people to boycott content. That's not at this particular stage, that is not what they're asking for. They're more asking for the solidarity and awareness to get pushed of what they're fighting for. And so what makes me just concerned with that is that people thinking, well, like, I'm not going to put no money in the studio's pockets. And I understand that mentality. But that's why you haven't heard people be like, cancel your Netflix, cancel your whatever, because it could have a ripple effect of them going, oh, see, we didn't make money, so we're not paying you. So this is that weird towing the line of, like, if you were a fan of Xolo and the actors in this film and whatnot, that, you know, keep that in mind when this all goes down, because this isn't good. This is not good.
No, and I also don't think that the strike's going to be over by the time this movie comes out. Obviously, no chance. So there's no promotion at all. I think at this point, James Gunn, Safran, Zoloft, they all know that they're going to take a hit on both of these movies, on Blue Beetle and Aquaman, which is a bummer. But I do think that if you look at the fact that Gunn has said that Blue Beetle is going to be a DCU character, I think that that's probably kind of rewarding in the fact that I don't think that they have confidence that the movie's going to do well. I think they have confidence in the movie itself. I think they have confidence in Xolo. I don't think they have confidence I think that they are probably playing realistic in the fact that people are not responding to the old movies and the fact that they're going to connect to something new. So they're just not invested. They're aware of that. And I think they're rewarding Xolo because they like him and they want to bring him over, and they're going to continue to bring him over. And I don't think they're going to hold this against him if it doesn't do well.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, all I can say with all of this and the way it's playing out, the only good decision I've seen, I'm down to calling him Zoloft again,
Yeah,
has been putting Gunn in charge, but every other move has just been a mistake after another mistake, man. And the way this was handled was not that, like, and that's not even the strike withstanding, just the way this particular project was handled, just it's a shame.
I don't think they gave the audience. I think this is a studio had not given the audience enough credit, where they probably did one of these things where, like, oh, it's fine. They eat this stuff up. You can see them saying it. They eat this stuff up. We'll do fine. You guys build out the new one, and we have these movies out that we'll do, and we'll build it up. And they still want to see Aquaman, and they still want to see, and we'll throw Gal Gadot in a couple scenes in this, and we'll do that. They'll be fine with it. The fans will come out and they'll support it, and the fans are like, you don't care, we don't care. It's like, so
1,000%. You can tell the difference between someone that's been allowed to cook and put their passion into it, and someone that's just like had a lot of studio interference, and they're like, whatever, take what we give you, like, eat it. And like, and that to me is even why, of all of the didn't work out so well DCEU films, why it feels like Black Adam did the best out of all of them, because it truly felt, we gave The Rock a lot of guff, man, but like, he really cared.
Yeah,
he really cared. And while it
did the best out of all of them because of the amount of promotion and what he did, I still think, again, I know that you guys are tired of me saying it, but same thing. I will tell you that I think that it was way too much money. That movie could have actually turned a profit had they cut it down a little bit. So actually, I will. There was, as we do sometimes, there's news that breaks while we're on the air, and this is a rumor, but there's a rumor going on right now about Jimmy Olsen, and we haven't heard about Jimmy Olsen yet, about who could be rumored to play him. So the Amazing Spider-Man actor is rumored to be in running for Superman Legacy's Jimmy Olsen. Who's that? So here we go. Hollywood has come to a halt due to the WGA and the SAG strikes, but a new rumor is doing the rounds with suggesting Superman Legacy has found the Man of Tomorrow's best pal, Jimmy Olsen. Superman Legacy writer and James Gunn has confirmed he'll be heading down a comic-accurate route with Jimmy Olsen, and a reliable scoop may have revealed who it is. If this is a rumor, the Amazing Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man 2 actor Skyler Gisondo is expected to being eyed for the role. He played Gwen Stacy's brother in the Sony Pictures blockbuster and definitely has the attributes to bring Jimmy Olsen. According from those movies, he's also known for Vacation, Booksmart, and Licorice Pizza. Casting has been paused because of the strike, so we're not anticipating this being made official anytime soon. If it's not true, Gunn might weigh in soon, but we think he will be right for the role. Do you know who this character is? Do you know this?
I do. Okay. He was a phenomenal actor in Booksmart. Booksmart was top.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah. I'm looking at a picture of him. He was fantastic in that. Yeah. Yep.
So he's got chops, and if that's the route they're going, cool. I guess the thing that makes it hard about it is, like, cool to hear the story. I'm glad journalists still got something to do, but it's like, okay, right. You know what I mean? The only thing I could say is that I really like this kid, and that ended up itself.
He looks Jimmy Olsen. He looks very Jimmy Olsen. Yeah, he would be great as Jimmy Olsen if that's the case. Again, we're not going to find out whether or not it is unless it's not, because then Gunn can go, no, and we're not casting right now, so that's blah blah blah. Because if it is, if I'm this kid, I'm like, shut up. If I'm him, I'm going, don't report, leave me alone. Even because I want basically the strike to do its thing. I want people to get what they want, and I want to get this job once I can have this job. So shush. But if he is the one who's cast, yeah, I think it's a good choice. I like him a lot. Booksmart, you're right. He was fantastic in that. He was fantastic in that. Okay, I still see. Yeah, people have been sending in the super chats, and we'll get to them in just a moment. We have a couple more stories. I added one on here for you, Winston. I want to see if because this one, I had never seen this movie before. I started doing, it wasn't even Capes and Cowls It was where is it? Is that it? Oh, there it is. So I had never seen the Mask of the Phantasm before,
right?
And then we all watched it together. Well, there's a report now. There's where'd it go? There's a I think it's getting a re-release or something. I added the story just for you. Now I can't find it. Where is it? Can't remember. But either way, I'll find that. I'll find that in a moment. But while we do it, talk to me a little bit about Phantasm while I look.
I mean, Phantasm.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. All right, I got it. Sorry. See, this is what you get when you get the live version of it. It's coming to 4K Blu-ray for the first time, and this is the cover art that you're looking at. So this is Mark Cassidy. For many fans of Gotham City's legendary Caped Crusader, the '90s Batman, the animated series remains the quintessential depiction of the Dark Knight, and spin-off feature Mask of the Phantasm is still widely considered the best Batman movie. And now we have word that the acclaimed DC animated adventure is being re-released on 4K Blu-ray for the first time on September 12th to mark its 30th anniversary. To coincide with the announcement, some new cover artwork has been unveiled, giving us a look at the Caped Crusader, voiced by the late Kevin Conroy, along with Mark Hamill's Joker, Andrea Beaumont, and the mysterious Phantasm. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, you can check out the cover on the article over there as well too. But I think that's pretty great. I mean, interesting that it's first time on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I guess I'm not entirely surprised because it kind of does its in and outs, and they've had it on streaming platforms, so they probably didn't have necessarily a rush. And it's funny, everything is just a timing thing. Like it feels like a wrong place, wrong time. This feels like a weird cash grab type scenario because they're hurting, but it may have been in the works for months. You know what I mean? This is most likely it had to have been if they'd made the decision to do this.
But they're pushing news out because they need news right now too, for sure. And I think like this one of the things probably coming out of Comic-Con, because you look at the stuff that's coming out of Comic-Con right now, and it's funny. I see pictures of our friends, and I have like two sides of me. One where I'm like, oh, I like going to like I think it's not the Hard Rock. It's the hell is this? One of the hotels is like an outside bar, and it's like it's a cool place to meet up while you're running around and hanging out with people. And I'm that part of me. I'm like, I'd like to see some of the peeps, but then the other side, I've not wanted, like, normally I'm like, if I miss one of these cons, I'm like, oh man, I wish I was there. I couldn't give two craps. There's nothing going on.
The only thing that I've seen that like has me bummed out is everything surrounding Spider-Man 2, the PlayStation game.
Right.
That sounds like it was awesome. Like shout out to friend of the show Dorian, man, who got to host that. He got to host that.
Oh, did he? Okay, that's great. Oh,
yeah,
did he
for
really?
that? Yeah, for that game, which was pretty cool. A buddy of mine, Josh, he's down there doing some stuff for Marvel as well. He hosts for them every now and again. So like there is some cool stuff, but it really has reverted fully back to a Comic Con.
Right, which I'm sure there's a lot of purists that are like, this is the way it's supposed to be. And I'm sure that there's a lot. I mean, it's still very crowded, and there's a lot of people there. People are, oh, it's going to be dead. It's definitely not dead. There's a lot of people there, because I think that when I say that, what I just said, as far as like it's not for the fun portion of it. As a fan, like if I was, if I didn't have my family, and if I was like, I just wanted to go hang out and just be a fan, then it's probably one of the best ones, to be completely honest with you. But as far as when I normally go, I go for coverage, I go for business, I go for networking. And for me, nothing going on there for this, minus this going well, and even that, it's not even Comic-Con. Saturday we're going to San Diego for the American Comedy Company for Katie's show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I think there still might be a code for people if you want to watch the live stream. They might be gone, but if you go to it's blah 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 Katie.com, and it's San Diego 50, and you can get 50% off the ticket if it's still available. I'm not sure. But anyway, so you're right. There's a lot of different things that you probably wouldn't get this kind of coverage if all the other stuff was going down. And I think it's one of the reasons that a few of the trailers dropped and other things dropped. I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a big panel yesterday that got a lot of coverage, more so than I think it would have gotten in the past. It still would have gotten some, but I think the coverage that it got. But I do want to talk about the Marvels in a second. But before we even do it, I also want to tell you guys about AG1. You guys know how much I love AG1. So many different people have talked about how they've tried it, and you've seen the effects it's had on me in general. People have responded to my posts all the time, and Our next partner is, of course, AG1. They are the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports the whole body health. You guys know I drink it every day. And I started because Brett Sheridan was the one going, you got to try this, man. And I did. And it is amazing. I don't do all the vitamins all over the different places. Like, hey, take this vitamin here. And then you put it all in one scoop. You put it in a bottle of water. You shake it up. That's it. I take it in the right after I'm done with my coffee. I start my day. I feel great. Get all this different energy that just is incredible. And I always thought it was going to taste like garbage. It doesn't. It tastes fruity because it looks garbage. You look at it and it's like, oh, this is green. And how do you started? What did you do? You started doing it at room temperature, Winston?
That was why I didn't like it. That I tried it at room temperature, and you're like, no, dude, you need to trust me. Try it with cold water, and night and day difference. Because I liked the effects. I was like, yeah, the effect, but I was like, but that's plenty of things in life that, like, if you have it at the wrong temperature, it's not going to hit, and that's all it was for me. I just needed it in cold water, and it's incredible.
It's great energy, sleep quality. All of it. I've noticed every bit of it since I started taking it. Why you want to take a bunch of different things? You just take one scoop, powder and water once a day. That's it. It was designed with ease in mind so you can live healthier and better without having to complicate your routine. I'm always looking for ways to just kind of cheat the system, and this is what AG1 does. It helps you. You take care of your body every day, and it's that simple. And it's very easy to send they send everything. They send everything. It's got 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, whole food sourced ingredients of high quality, and it gives you major benefits. It's awesome. It is a nutritional supplement, and it is absolutely incredible. If you want to take ownership of your health, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. How do you do that? Go to ag1.com/bigthing. Drink ag1.com/bigthing. Check it out. I'm going to put I always pin our sponsors to the first comment.
Nice.
So hopefully you guys can go and check that out. All right, Winston, before we move to the questions, let's get to the trailer that dropped today. The Marvels drops today. This trailer is the latest in the MCU. This one comes out at the end of May. I mean, there's no rumors that this is getting pushed, but it looks, and by dropping the trailer today, it doesn't seem like they're going to push it, but this is the sequel to Captain Marvel, continuation of the MCU, pushing into Phase 5 and more so into Phase 5. And did you get a chance to check it out?
I did. And I remain where I was at beforehand, where this is probably the film that I'm looking forward to the most of the superhero films left. I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is Iman's energy is infectious. And hearing the news report that, like, the entirety of the cast looks to her, what is this? What is that? What's this, that, and the other? And to know that she really is a comic book fan that's getting to live out our wildest dreams, that by itself gives a spark. Because that's what we've been talking about. If the passion is there in the project, it changes everything. And I think the other thing that you run into that could have been dangerous when you have a character as strong as Superman, Captain Marvel, the Hulk, etc. The Hulk, you at least have rage issues that he could lose control. So that gives you something. You essentially almost need to find a way to nerf their powers, because otherwise they can just beat anything. And this is going to give us an opportunity to get to know Carol Danvers more as well. And I think that's been one of the biggest complaints, is we haven't gotten to see her fully flushed out. It feels like we kind of had to rush through her movie, and then we needed to use her in Endgame for certain moments. So this will give us that opportunity, is through the lens of Monica and Kamala.
So I agree, and I think that it really is a matter of what I said in my reaction was that it's a matter of the chemistry between the three of them, right? That's really that it is reliant on that. I mean, obviously a story and how it's going to play and all that, but it's reliant on, like, if their chemistry does not work, the movie's over. And everything you've seen so far in the trailer, it seems that it will. And I agree with you on the Brie Larson of it all. It looks like she's having more fun and is kind of more engaged in this one than she was. They still have her doing that. It's not her fault, but they still have her doing that look thing every time. It's like every movie, but for some reason, every time she's Captain Marvel, And it's like it's unnecessary. It's just nothing in the trailer thing. It's anyway. But I will agree that I think that this particular trailer showed a little bit more of what we can expect. They explain more. I don't know about the villain yet. The villain didn't seem the first time we really see the villain. I don't know enough about the villain yet. Marvel has always, for a long time, had a problem with villains, and they started to kind of balance out and are back again. I don't know yet how the villain's going to play. I don't think it did the villain justice in this particular trailer, but a trailer is a trailer. You could have more of a backstory that you can turn out and say, wow, boy, was I wrong. That trailer, the villain was incredible.
Because to that point, we didn't, if it helps, one of the, I guess you could say amazing across the Spider-Verse, but I would say we didn't really get any notification of who the villain truly was. In Guardians 3, sure. we knew enough that, it's going to be the High Evolutionary, but we knew nothing about him, where it was going to go, etc.
That's true.
We'll get it.
True. No, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. But I think that the strong point was definitely, Kamala, right? Kamala. Mm-hmm. She was, she's just so good. She's so good, and I think she's going to be the star of this entire movie for sure. And now. I think, again, the chemistry behind it, but they need this movie to work, though. This is another one where we were just talking about with Blue Beetle more so. There is a good possibility that this strike can still be going on at the end of the year. Still a very good possibility. Now, Blue Beetle definitely needs more awareness because it's a property that not a lot of people know. It's part of a system right now, the DC system that is not over with fans right now, so it definitely needs it more. But Marvel's working on kind of like a wonky system too right now. They got a couple things. Like Guardians worked, Ant-Man did not. Thor made money, but people didn't love it. Doctor Strange made money, but people didn't love it. It's like this. So it's like without promotion and without someone like Brie Larson out there promoting it, it could have an effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing about it that will help and why they were so strong on Blue Beetle, because a lot of people make the comparisons with Blue Beetle and Spider-Man. You get the same thing with Miss Marvel, and at least in this kind of generation of comics, because she's that fan, she's that super fan of Captain Marvel and of the Avengers and all that kind of stuff. Having that energy, or our Spider-Man energy, because at this point, Tom's character, he's not grown, but he's not a kid anymore. Right. He's kind of moved into young adulthood, and so he's in a different. Yeah. This is now giving us the little kid, or not little kid, but the kid that is fascinated by this, and that's what made a lot of the interactions between Peter and the rest of the Avengers so interesting, because it was like that we would be doing the same thing, like, oh my God, I love your work, it's so cool, sorry I whooped your ass, okay, bye. Like, that's right. It did that.
And the charm of it all, we need her charm. There's no doubt about that. The problem of everything that you're talking about is that, and this is not her fault, it's the same thing with, like, even when I saw the Blue Beetle trailer, the last one, it just doesn't look new. It doesn't look fresh, right? It doesn't look like, I feel like I've seen, like, again, the trailer, I thought this trailer for Marvels was good, but it's just the question is it going to be the same old Marvel tone, or are they going to do what they used to do, which was so good? And like, are they going to switch it up? Are they going to make you feel that are they going to be, and if you rely on the chemistry and the dialogue between the three ladies and it works, then you got yourself a hit. If it really works out and people just love watching them together and the story is fun, and then I'm just now, because I'm just like, these movies have been fine. I'm just not as excited as I used to be about them. And I think there's a lot of audience feels that way.
Yeah, I have found that, with a few exceptions on some of the superhero movies, I have been, which is wild for me considering the show that we do and everything. I've just been drawn to other things. And I think it's just from the standpoint of other things have like a new like look and feel to them. They're this, if you're gonna regurgitate the same thing at me over and over again, like I love burgers to the end of the earth, but I couldn't eat a burger every meal every day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I'm with you. Yeah. All right. So those are the topics that we covered as we've been talking and going over these things. You guys have been submitting questions throughout the entire show. So first of all, thank you for doing that. And now we're going to go through said questions, and we're going to start with the great Wicked Art. Now, Wicked Art did the Capes and Cowls comic book. You can go and check that out if you remember on the website, thekristianharloff.com. Issue 1 is up there now. So this is, and speaking of which, Wicked Art says, hey, Kristian, just a few touch-ups left on issue 2, but it'll be ready for you on Monday. It's 31 pages. I know not is at Comic-Con, but they showed X-Men 97 footage. Will they drop the trailer today? Do you know if they dropped the trailer or not for that, Winston?
I have zero idea. I've been working all morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's interesting. Well, as far as, first of all, thank you, Wicked Art, and thank you to everything that you do. And you should, guys, if you haven't checked it out, you can get. We haven't gotten any sales yet on the a la cartes, but most people are reading it through the membership. But if you do get the a la carte, it'll also support Wicked Art for doing these wonderful issues. So please go and check that out. Thank you to Wicked Art. He's the best. So I haven't heard anything yet about that trailer though, my man. Randy Avenel. All these delays and reshoots are obviously due to the aliens. I'm telling you, you're probably right. It's probably right. watch these hearings, man. Did you watch the thing yet? Start watching it yet?
Not yet, man. But you got me on board to give it a shot.
Yeah, JT's watching it too. Let's see. And then Mark Riley and I did a full hour, and we're going to talk on Monday's episode. That's the whole thing is leading to the hearings. Sam Sharma, cool name. With the strikes, will there be a pandemic-like drought of content? I feel like 2022/3 was just getting back on track. Maybe too much content at one time. Look, in a certain aspect, yeah, right. Because the one thing is that without the writers and the actors, you ain't going to have anything for a little bit. And there's only so much that they had in the can before it's going to start affecting it as they're pushing things back. But on the other side of things, there were things that other people couldn't do still during the pandemic that they can do while the writers and the actors, I mean, like other kinds of content, right? There was even stuff like reality TV will have more of a boost, I'm sure, right? Because reality TV couldn't during the pandemic minus like, what's his name? Tiger Joe or Joe, whatever.
Joe Tiger King. And but that was also in the can. That was something that was coming down the pipeline. So.
Right. So there are things that there is types of entertainment that you can still do that will still be out there. So it won't be the same kind of entertainment drought, but there will be. But I don't disagree with you. They were on such a kick of getting things back in motion again. And it is a rightful stoppage, but it's a stoppage.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that you what is the old, I don't know if this applies per se, but they say, a moment on the lips, lifetime on the hips type situation. You could sort of apply it to this, in that, like, again, if you just want to address the situation and deal with it, you could, but the longer every day that you're taking to let this run out, you're gonna end up just taking a hit. That many more months of non-content happening.
I know. All right, let's see. Rocky McFly, what's up, Rocky? Thank you so much. Would you guys rather see Batgirl movie or Aquaman 2? It's in the Aquaman 2 for me. It's because I want to see where the story goes. I like James Wan, Momoa. And there was just so much that was working against Batgirl. So Aquaman 2 for me.
Batgirl.
Yeah,
it's something new, and I am a big fan of Leslie, and that would have been. I would have much rather have seen that, especially because I was a big fan of those directors coming off of Bad Boys for Life, but it's never gonna happen. So whatever.
Mike Joyce, what's up, Mike? When's the Black Knight movie coming out, Winston?
That's a great question. I'm on strike right now. So unless A24 is going to be the ones to do it, because I love what they're doing, the great work, and the working as an independent studio and following the proper guidelines. If they want to come over and do the Black Knight movie, we down for it. And if not, then I'm on hold until the studios get their act together.
Fair. Tyson, 199. How do you get invited to press screenings? Well, I mean, it's definitely changed over the course of when Mark Ellis and I got invited. You know, back in the day, what happened was, I mean, we didn't get invited. We get the email. I'd get press contacts, and we would say, "Hey, we review for this." And at the time, it was, you review for what? YouTube? Yeah, right. Now it's about, okay, how many followers do you have? This, and that. And I think it's just a matter of finding wherever you are and finding the people who release the press screenings, and then having whatever, if you write for an outlet, if you have your own channel, whatever it might be, and submitting your stats, and that's kind of how it goes. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Joey Henderson, after seeing The Flash and how mediocre it was, I'm skipping Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 in theaters. So I think that Joey serves a lot of the narrative for a lot of people out there, and I think that that's one of the reasons, unfortunately, that Blue Beetle is going to be damaged because of what he just wrote. I think a lot of people are going to feel that way.
Yeah, and that again, that is my biggest heartbreaker, is for Xolo more than anything. Obviously, I love George Lopez. He'll be fine. He's been famous and rich for a while, so it's not going to be the end of the world for him. But this is supposed to be a springboard for a young potential superstar. And so you need that because, like, I think about other bombs of stuff of this caliber, like Green Lantern, for example. Ryan Reynolds was already Ryan Reynolds. It didn't affect him. You know what I mean? This is the thing that he goes from a TV show to the lead of a film. That could be bad. So I really, really hope, if it does bomb, that his team does a good job of pivoting, but I hope it doesn't bomb.
I think that they have a lot of viable excuses, though, if it does, because of the strike and everything else, too. The other bummer is the fact that it's the first kind of big superhero movie with all Latino cast, you know, and especially if it's good. If it's a really good movie and people don't see it, it's going to be a bummer. I can't speak on it yet. I don't know. I haven't seen the film, and I didn't love the last trailer. I thought that the end, and it's the majority of the trailer I liked. I'm just telling you that when I saw that bit, did you watch the trailer yet?
I did.
Okay, so there's a bit at the end with the trailer with the grandma it played very Spy Kids to me, and I was like, what's the tone of this movie?
I can understand that, and I think it's part of the reason why I've been falling out of love with trailers.
Yeah.
Outside of context, you never know what's going on. Like
very, very true. So who knows, but I am rooting for it. Obviously, I'm definitely rooting for Xolo. So we'll see. Okay. Elise, who Big Ball still, Big Ball said some not nice things to Elise the other day. Well, he said it wasn't nice. It was just inappropriate the other day on the stream, Winston. You wouldn't, but at least she handled it like a champ. Zoloft and Gunn could have waited until the current slate to announce the new universe. This was completely unnecessary. See, I understand the logic behind that, but I don't agree, only because of the time involved. Because you got to remember, the Gunn only has like a 4-year deal, and he's got to start to put things in motion. So if he's hired in it, he starts in January of 2023. With the plan really essentially starting at the end of 2022, you don't have much time to promote, to make movies, to do those things. So if you put these slates out, let's say Aquaman gets pushed and it comes out in 2023 or 2024 rather, and then you're like, okay, now we're going to announce this big slate. When's your first movie come out? About 6 months to a year from now. You're like, what? Yeah. And then we got all these other movies and everything too. You're like, wait, you had no time to build any hype on this thing. So
I don't envy him in the sense that Gunn had to come in as like a new coach / GM, and they expect a championship immediately. There's no time to actually rebuild and like get there. They need a dub right now, and that sucks.
All right, next one here. Stuart Arbery, give it a month. Aquaman 2 will be a tax write-off like Batgirl. Nah, not happy about this. Sad for the artist. I don't think that they're going to be able to do that. I think there's too much. I think Jason Momoa is too big of a star. I think they've got James Wan.
They can't tax write off it. Part of the reason why Batgirl fell in a weird category where you could is because of the price point. You've spent too much on Aquaman at this point. You have to attempt to get something back.
Agreed. And then he just clarified that he was saying not happy about this. Let's see. I'm going through. I think that might be everything, but let me double check. I want to make sure. But again, thank you to everybody who has put in the super chats and joined us here in this live. Just show me about I think at one point, or close to 700 people watching with us live. That's amazing. Thank you. People who are watching on the replay, also, thank you very much. And let me see. I'm just going through, and I think there's one more here. There it is. Lewis Berry. WB, have time and the money. Reshoot Maricine and Aquaman and Lost Kingdom with Deborah Ann Wool. Again, I think it's the same. It's not a matter, though, Lewis, of them having the money and the time. It's a matter of, does it make sense overall? Because if you reshot all those scenes now and did a fourth or fifth reshoot period with a new actress and had to do all those scenes all over, plus the ones you just reshot again too, that's an additional how much more money? And then you're looking at
you will hit 300,
maybe more. You can't.
The only way you could do that, you would have to be a psychic, and you would have to know that this movie genuinely will be a $1 billion superhero film.
Yeah.
And you have no guarantees. You have a terrible track record recently, and that is a big risk to make. That doesn't make any sense.
It's a massive risk. They have so much like this. They have so much like the DCEU thing now since has been cursed. I mean, you look like the stuff that happened with the Flash and Ezra Miller and their casting stuff. I mean, the stuff that went down with Amber Heard. I mean, it's just like it's no good. It's no good. So I don't envy them. I think that's it, Winston. I think we got everything to say. Everybody who joined us here today, thank you very much. Thank you to Winston A. Marshall for joining. Winston, where can the kids find you?
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at the Swaggy Blurred. Please come over to my YouTube page. I'm actually trying to via Breakfast AM News, and I've been converting them into shorts. I've got to get, the marker to get monetization is fucking ridiculous. So please come over and check out the series if you haven't already. I am going to have to be putting, because of the strike, I'm putting on hold any of my out of the theater reactions, reviews, and all of that. The CPT reviews that I was doing, I'm still filming them. I will not be releasing them until the strike is over. So just as a heads up. But other than that, man, please support the rest of the content I'm putting out. Just trying to grow some numbers and keep you guys entertained.
Once again, for Winston and myself, thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining us here today. If you are able to and you can support the show, please check out one of our wonderful sponsors today, whether it is Green Chef or AG1. Both are just tremendous. I put the link in the description as well as the top pinned comments. For people who are watching live, thank you. For people who are watching on the replay, thank you. For people watching on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google and everywhere you can watch podcasts, thank you. And Coy will be back soon. Check him out on the stuff that he's doing as well at Comic-Con. For Winston and myself and Coy Jandro, who's out and about, it is Caped and Cowls. One time. Oh, there we go. Here, I got it.